Keep the change, you filthy animal.
First, I want to start with a huge thank you to the legend who dared to vote on my threads poll, effectively choosing the game I will present today. Thank you, I appreciate you. The Wolfenstein series has always been one of the staples of modern gaming, as many would point at Doom, when they in fact should, in my honest opinion, point at Wolfenstein 3D as being the godfather of the first-person shooter genre. In 2014, Bethesda, together with ID Software, gave the franchise a much-needed revival and reboot, thanks in huge part to Machine Games, with the reboot we know as Wolfenstein: The New Order. Wolfenstein: The Old Blood is a standalone DLC expansion to The New Order, which serves as a prequel to the events leading to The New Order, as well as serving as a nod in huge part to Return to Castle Wolfenstein from 2001, and I would argue, in fact, as well a nod to the last game before the reboot, and that is Wolfenstein from 2009. So, let's see what this is all about, and more importantly, is it worth your time?
Guten Morgen, Herr Jäger.
Was gibt's, Greta?
Augenblick, warten Sie. Aus Frankfurt. Sind Sie Frankfurter?
Ja, ein Hotdog.
Weiter.
HOTDOG.
It works, didn't it?
Prior to the events of Wolfenstein: The New Order, which starts with the aerial assault on the Death's Head's compound, in The Old Blood we get to see how our favorite hero protagonist BJ came across the information about the compound's whereabouts. You know the drill. Spoiler alert, if you don't want me to spoil anything, skip to this part of the video. As for the rest, here it goes. Disguised as an SS soldier, you and another spy by the name of Wesley infiltrate the infamous Wolfenstein Castle, the is a cult research center, nestled in the mountains of annexed Austria, owned by Helga von Schaps, chief archaeologist and occult officer, who is tasked to find any means to further bolster the forces by dabbing into the occult findings in the local archaeological dig site of King Otto I. It doesn't take long, unfortunately, for you and Wesley to be discovered by Helga's right-hand man, Rudy Jaeger.
Shit.
Hey, you. You're finally awake.
In the end, you are able to escape the castle despite not being able to save Wesley. At least now you know where to find the folder with the needed information, which is in Helga's possession in the local village tavern. You infiltrate the tavern, but Helga is able to see right through you, and you're, of course, atrocious German. Depending on how you look at it, you're saved by the bell, as a large explosion in the dig site releases a curse, which turns almost everyone into zombies, effectively unleashing the apocalypse on the surrounding area. So, on your way to the dig site to confront Helga and get the coordinates, you end up captured once more. No, God! And you witness King Otto's now awakened monster responsible for the unleashed curse. As the amazing hero BJ is, he defeats the golem and finally retrieves the coordinates. Buried in the rubble, he is saved by none other than our favorite witty Scotsman Fergus, and together you board the plane to take the fight to Death's Head. The end. No need to spell it out, I'm a fan of the series, especially when it comes to the franchise's alternative history angle. Since The Old Blood is in fact an expansion on the original story of the reboot, it is safe to assume that it's not going to be a long game. Despite only about 4 hours worth of story, it's fully fleshed out in my honest opinion and checks all the marks. With all the things you have and get to do, it felt as if I spent not 4 but 16 hours in that world, and I mean that as a positive. BJ is the same stoic and no-nonsense go-getter, just like we all love him. The characters you meet along the way, like Wesley, Kessler, Annette, and Pippa, seem more like they're jammed in here just so you're not completely alone. For the purpose of the story arc, the characters are serviceable, and that's it. Nothing more.
I have a secret trick. Count to 4. Inhale. Count to 4. Exhale. You got it. You should try it.
We just don't spend enough time with these characters for their deaths to actually mean something to us, the players. I know this sounds like I'm contradicting myself, first saying the game is short, then sort of complaining we don't get to spend time with the certain characters. I'm just pointing out that I realize certain decisions when it comes to making a game come with their own caveats. As for the main antagonists, I liked both Rudy and Helga, but I will say I liked Rudy just a pinch more, as if he was just a little bit more fleshed out. In the beginning of the game, when you get to the point with the hot dog mishap, for example, I always wondered at that point what was so funny about this. What's the link between BJ supposedly being from Frankfurt and what in God's name made BJ think saying hot dog was a relevant answer at all? My initial thought was Rudy is laughing as in, "Ah, you stupid American, you tried to infiltrate us, yeah? You're so adorable, yeah? Okay, move on. I'll catch you in 10 Minuten, make the schnitzel out of you, yeah?"
Really don't know any German.
That's all right. I know a little German. He's sitting over there.
Let's get this over with before I die of cringe.
And after some Google searching, it turns out Frankfurter, which does mean a person coming from Frankfurt, is also a type of sausage used for hot dogs. Once again, at least tonight, I won't go to bed any dumber. Helga got the upper hand on me twice, despite being one leg less than optimal, which I think speaks more about BJ rather than her, intellectually. She was fine, just like Rudy, and all characters share the same quality. They're here to serve a purpose and nothing more or outstanding. I think the conclusion was satisfying. After all, somehow it had to lead to the next game in the timeline, Wolfenstein The New Order. Like I said, a 4-hour story can be perceived as short, but the quality of it more than makes up for the quantity. Besides, I'm reminding you this is an expansion, so my original expectation would have been an extra 1 or 2 hours maybe, and here we got twice that. Good stuff overall. Story, 5 out of 5 stars.
Leg dich hin, meine Liebe.
Sollte dieser Kamin nicht schon letzte Woche repariert werden? Mist. Diese hirnverbrannten Idioten können nichts
Yeah, boy.
richtig machen.
If you have played by now either the New Order or the New Colossus, then you get pretty much the same experience here.
I've seen this before.
The main difference is design choices given the timeline, as the Old Blood takes place in 1946, while 80% of the New Order and the whole New Colossus take place in 1960-1961 respectively. Gameplay loop is simple. You can never have too many to kill. You've got an assortment of weapons able to cover any weapons group: knives, silence pistol, shotgun, assault rifle, which, personal comment, behaves more like an SMG, a sniper bolt action rifle, a gun that shoots mini rockets, the typical German World War II grenade on a stick, and occasionally you get to have a feast with a large mini Gatling gun. On the rebooted side of the franchise, each game had a unique weapon or tool to use, like the Laserkraftwerk in the New Order, the hatchet in the New Colossus, just to name a few. The Old Blood has also something of its own, that is, a set of 2 broken pipes which become your very first weapon and best friend, providing a variety of satisfying executions on an unsuspecting enemy. It is also used for traversing. It can be used to scale specific walls, and as a form of a crowbar to wedge or open hatches with. In terms of enemy variety, there are not that many.
You expecting something special?
You've got your standard soldiers. You've also got the commanders, just like in the other titles, where you need to trace their signal to take them out as quickly and silently as possible in order to ensure no backup arrives. The main new enemy type you meet just in this game is a soldier armed with a shotgun in a sort of a heavily armored orange 1920s diver suit, which can take some ammo to take care of, but he's typically very slow and is armed with a shotgun, so unless you're standing close to him, he shouldn't be a problem. Of course, let's not forget an enemy type specific for this game, and that is the zombies. They're pretty easy to handle. Most of the times a headshot will blow their pumpkin head clear off, and that will be the end of it. Here we also get to meet some enemy types that we typically see and accept as normal in the other titles, but here we get to see them in a more basic alpha state, if you will. One example are those armored mutant-like giants. Since the remote battery, the only thing that keeps them alive is still a concept, they're functional here as long as they are wired to a cable with running electricity, which also limits their movement and reach. There are those who have a detached battery, but it's clear that they're still only a few and not in mass production yet. Another enemy type we meet here, supposedly for the first time, is the concept of the armored attack dogs, for which, although not stated anywhere clearly, I can assume that Rudy Yeager is either the one who came up with the original idea, or at least is the most invested in it.
Makes sense.
And last but not least, we meet again, supposedly for the first time, the idea and concept of the full-on, huge, autonomous, robotic attack dog. Now, how you're gonna go about killing that? Once again, it's up to you. In terms of freedom of approach, it is more on the linear side, but at least most of the time it gives you kind of an option of how to approach. Are you going to be like sneaking around the vents, Dishonored style stealth run, or just kick the door open holding the two shotguns or SMGs and just shoot anything that moves in it isn't you? Killing enemies with the weapons is just as satisfying as in the other titles. The only remark I have here is that the weapon selection itself seems somehow a bit smaller compared to, let's say, the New Order. Fulfilling certain requirements or getting enough kills with a specific weapon to bring bonuses to your character is present here as well, although in a more limited form. You get to collect gold bars, inspect different letters thrown all over the levels for additional context of the world you're in, if you like that stuff, like me. So, in short, you're literally playing the same game as the other two titles of the reboot, down to even playing the so-called nightmare sections, which are levels from the original Wolfenstein 3D. The only difference is the size of the features and scope, and practically the longevity of the game. Once you finish the main story campaign, you can try to conquer specific fight sections from the story mode to beat them for points and time, which may present an interest to you if you are the completionist type. Potentially, you can squeeze out another hour of extra gameplay, but I don't expect more than that. Overall, I have no complaints when it comes to the gameplay itself. Gameplay, 5 out of 5.
Sorry I couldn't save you, pal. Okay, let's go. And remember, stay focused, stay quiet, and follow me, right?
Commandant Franz, Aus Frankfurt, Guten Morgen, Guten Morgen.
Fuck it.
The overall design of the game is superb and pretty much identical graphically to the New Order and the New Colossus. Everything is detailed and pleasant to the eye, including the weapons. BJ's voice actor is superb. I was pleasantly impressed by the voice actors of both Rudy and Helga. The rest of the characters like Wesley, Kessler and the others also did an adequate job. Of course, for me the highlight was the cameo of Fergus at the end. The sound quality of the guns is great. The sounds when cutting and slicing through enemies are just as visceral as always. Music, although made by the legend Mick Gordon, who we all know from the reboot of the Doom franchise, is also as present here as in the other titles, but felt a little bit muffled here, but that may be because I concentrated more on the carnage. When it comes to the impact of your weapons, some of them feel as if they have less punch than in the other titles. I did mention the supposed assault rifle, which in terms of bulkiness and effective range felt more like an SMG. I can't explain why, but the shotguns were also a little bit underwhelming. And one thing that annoys me, not just in the Old Blood, but in all reboot titles from a design standpoint, is the fact that I have to basically break the use button in half if I want to pick up ammo and armor. I understand if I have to pick up weapons or, armor helmets if they are positioned on specific surfaces like on a table and stuff, but when they are on the ground, left by dead enemies, why can't I just walk over them and pick them up automatically? I never understood that.
Is any of this making any sense to you?
In terms of stability, nothing to note. The game was stable at 60 frame rate per second with no issues. Design, 4 out of 5 stars.
Oh, fuck me.
We found their body.
They got Wesley too, Fergus.
Bloody hell. Come on, man.
As I have mentioned a couple of times by now, Wolfenstein The Old Blood is cut from the same cloth as the rest of the reboot titles. The only difference is the size and scope, which is significantly smaller, only due to the fact that despite being a standalone title, it's still a DLC, as an expansion of the main story. If you've played the others, then you will feel right at home with this one as well. Especially if you are like me, a fan of the franchise, and most definitely of the reboots, you will not be disappointed. The only concern is you might feel a little underwhelmed when it's over because you would wish there was more to it. Final score for Wolfenstein The Old Blood, a solid 4 out of 5 stars. Just shy away from 5 out of 5, trust me, but nevertheless, don't think less of it. And of course, as always, listen to your Uncle Millennial SaltyKal. If you're going to buy it when it's on sale, because in my honest opinion, $20 for the game is a bit of a steep price for what you get. Thank you all for watching. This is SaltyKal. If you enjoy my honest reviews, make sure you like and subscribe to my channel for me to continue making these reviews. Always a pleasure. See you next time.
Just sheds its skin and changes form. Feel the weight of the world pushing me down. I try to carry it nonetheless. One last time. Then I can rest.